Sue and Craig have equity in their home, plus some savings in the bank. They decided to buy a second property as a tenanted investment. They got advice from Toowoomba's Edge Lending, because Edge Lending are the experts in borrowing to buy investment property.
Hi everyone, Scott from Edge Specialist Advice Network. I hope you're all well. Hey, today I've got another installment of What the Numbers Say, and as usual, we're using a chart from Boronai, Visual Capitalist. Those guys are great. I love the work that they do. And specifically today, we're looking at South America or Latin America, and we're looking at the GDP per capita. So the amount of, productivity or the amount of sales and things that go through the country's till, for want of a better word, divided by the population. Why would we even bother spending time looking at this? And it's a really good question. First, let's have a look at the numbers, right? So you can see that, in some of the Caribbean and areas like Haiti, very, very poor countries, been poorly managed. A lot of resources in Haiti, quite wealthy, population so poor has been, as with most things, mismanaged by government corruption and also pillaged by colonial West in certain times. Same with Honduras, and you got Belize here, Nicaragua. Mexico is clawing its way back as being a reasonable GDP per capita. But I want to get into the main southern continent here. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Chile, reasonably wealthy country. Argentina is on its way back. So 13,000 per capita is pretty decent actually. More than Brazil, and Brazil is an export powerhouse. Brazil has a lot more people, and so when you divide it out by per population, you can see that Argentina. You can understand why the citizens of Argentina would expect to be much wealthier than they have been in the past. However, the new president Milei, he's making some great changes for their country, and they will come back. You can see, look, Venezuela and Colombia, they've always had problems. Ecuador, Peru. I want to have a look up here. Guyana. Guyana has the highest GDP per capita in the South American continent. Second is Uruguay. So Guyana, why is that? So both of those countries are democracies. Uruguay is what I would call a very sophisticated country. It has a lot of exports. There's a lot of finance. There's a lot of finance goes through Uruguay. So, what do they sell? I guess they sell money. They transfer money, save money, distribute money. That's a lot of that sort of stuff. They do a lot of tourism, and a lot of wealthy people move to Uruguay and Argentina. And over here in the middle here, Paraguay. Paraguay, not so much. Uruguay gets the Guernsey down here. Now, there's a lot of old money in this area, especially after World War II. A lot of European gold moved to this section of the continent. What am I talking about? A lot of the German Nazis fled with a lot of the treasures that they stole throughout Europe and resettled in here. And some of that would have turned into old money, old farmland, piggeries, that sort of thing. I know it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it is true. But Guyana has a lot of oil, just as does Venezuela. Guyana is a democracy. It's not perfect, has its own problems, has had a lot of reports of government corruption, police corruption. Journalists don't get the free speech that they probably think they should. However, this area here, so Venezuela, but also Guyana, heavily involved in the export and exportation of oil. Now, why am I bothering to look at this? Let's have a look at what is happening in the US today. Now, there's been a lot of bluster and a lot of people have had a lot of hand wringing and a lot of heart palpitations from a lot of people, because that people really don't understand what's sort of going on, and they all get so emotional and they're all clinging to clutching their pearls and things. What it feels like is that the Trump administration and a lot of the people around him have said, you know what, for a long time we've been taking money, or the government has been taking money off of the US taxpayer, bleeding them dry, and putting a whole lot of effort into building military bases and causing a regime change, starting little wars, funding ISIS, funding terrorist groups, just to kind of disrupt a lot of the overseas places. A lot in the Middle East, like historically, a lot in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, think of Vietnam, and in Europe as well. Ukraine, last 10 years in Ukraine, all CIA operated. You can see those things. A lot of wasted money. It all comes from the US taxpayer. Like, this isn't, money's just not created. The US taxpayer has been bled dry since World War II. 85% of the wars all around the world have been started by the US, to spread democracy. It feels like, and I can understand why, that the US administration now, the new administration, has said, hey, look, you know what? Bang for buck. if nothing else, bang for buck, we're just not getting the return of taking over the world in this fashion. What we're going to do is we're going to pull back into our own lane, so to speak. We're going to fortify our own section. What does fortifying our own continent, our own patch mean? Well, they're going to pull back. They're going to what they've floated out is like, hey, you know what? Greenland's in our patch. Maybe we need Greenland. Hey, you know what? Canada is in our patch. Maybe we need a big section of Canada that joins up with Alaska. We're going to fortify that. We're going to fortify that strategically for minerals. We know that people that are in that side of Canada are more patriotic, cowboy, right-leaning sort of voters. We're not going to take the crazy lefts from the other side of Canada. And we're going to come down and, hey, we built the Panama Canal, and now we want the Panama Canal back. We heard you're putting Chinese ships through that. Maybe we want to fortify that section. And once we sort the top section out, we're going to come back and look at Latin America. And therefore, if we have both the American continents, we have everything we will ever need. All the oil, all the minerals, all the lithium, all the copper. It's all in South America. So much agriculture. We don't need anything else. And you know what, Russia? You can have Middle Asia, and you can have Europe at the top of Africa. China, you can have Asia and Southeast Asia. You guys run that section. Russia, you run that section, because these are the three big powers, right? Three big powers. There's no two ways about it. And the US will run all that section. The Western Hemisphere will all be US dominated. So when you look at what's happening out here, and you look at these things that are just ripe to come under the banner of, I guess, Western democracy in a sense. You know, China's been courting South America for so hard, and they're joined with part of the BRICS. Trump will be trying to break that along with the BRICS, especially Brazil. Guyana's got heaps of oil. Venezuela's got heaps of oil. He's really, him and Milei are really favourable together. Uruguay is a financial centre, financial hub, a bit like London, a bit like the London of South America. So you can see they have everything they need, and they can defend it militarily. They can actually defend it militarily. At the moment, the US Army is actually a mirage. It's a glimmer of what it once was. It's all bluster. It's all smoke and mirrors. It doesn't really exist. Most of the military has been co-opted, and they've dropped standards, and they're all gone woke, and it's rainbow flags. Put them up against the Russians, it's just not a contest, right? Same, and potentially same as up against the Turkish army, Iranian army, Chinese army, North Korean army. I'm not sure, but you know what? I can't see the same focused nationalistic running headlong into the cannons style of soldier in the US that you will get with every other national army and military force at the moment. So my point here is, watch this play over the next 2 years. It'll be in the next 2 years. There'll be some sort of, hey, you'll see a whole lot of handshaking, and we're doing this, we're doing that. We're going to start pulling out of those other areas. We're going to leave Europe to die. And, it's a failed Europe. It's a failed communist project. And Russia's the only real big democracy that's in there. There's other little democracies in there. They might come over and sort of be the guardian of that. Africa, to me, is still the wild card. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I think China and Russia might jointly share the influence, so to speak. I don't mean share it as in like going to put Chinese and Russian flags all over it. It's not conquering it. I think they'll share the influence and share the trade relationships. Whereas America, I think, is going to pull back. They've got everything they need in these two continents. So when you hear things like, hey, we're taking back the Panama Canal, hey, we should buy Greenland, hey, I think Canada should come into America and be a 51st state. He is not joking. They've come back and look at, and this will be part of the art of the deal. When they actually go, you know what, guys, we've been fighting so much. How about we take the Western Hemisphere? Russia, you take Eurasia. China, you take Middle Asia, and you guys can talk about Africa yourselves, and we'll all restart again. Watch out for that, and look at the prize that's up for grabs here. South America is very fertile and has it's super wealthy in resources, and the population per capita is not quite wealthy yet, and I think they will, with open arms, welcome the Western US influence to raise their living standards by doing a lot of heavy trade. So this isn't going to be done. This isn't the US taking over South America by force. I think they'll welcome it openly. So things are changing pretty fast. This is going to change all of our investment decisions, by the way, but never write off the US, right? They're always a phoenix rising out of the ashes. So, look, guys, I thought this was really interesting. It's part of a greater theme that I'm watching with what the US administration does, and some of the crazy things that you think they're saying that you just write off as like, it's just silliness. No, there's some very, 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 very smart people in there, and the president is one of them. And I think there's The world is changing very, very quick. Best to stay abreast of it. All right, that's enough from me. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.
Superannuation is every Australian's most important investment. The decisions you make now can have a large impact on when you can afford to retire and the lifestyle you'll enjoy when you do. There are so many companies to pick from for your super, but did you know that you can also manage it yourself? Edge Financial Services can help you take control of your super and plan for retirement with a self-managed super fund. There are many different ways for you to invest in your future. To find out more about investment strategies that will give you the edge in retirement, visit edge.net.au today.